Today is my 100th video, and I saw that I had 99 videos and I wanted to do something a little different and kind of fun for my 100th video. So today my husband is here with me and we're going to talk about shoujo manga and what our favorites are. So we both have selected our top 3 favorite shoujo series and 4 honorable mentions. So we're going to go through and share our top 3 and then some of the honorable mentions of series that we do really like or ones that could possibly make the cut into our top 3 one day. So first, our number 1 top favorite shoujo manga series, Yona of the Dawn. So we each chose our favorite covers. Mine's volume 35. And what's this? Is this your favorite character?
Yes. I like Sheena a lot.
My husband has great taste. So Yona of the Dawn is an adventure series that has a little bit of everything. It has romance, it has action, it has political elements, it has found family elements as well as betrayal and revenge. So it's just such an interesting series and such a good story. So Sheena is my favorite character, and I love this cover because it has the 4 dragon warriors. So what do you like about Yona of the Dawn?
Well, I like that it is a very serious drama and action-centered manga. Even though it's a shoujo, I do think that it is very different from any other shoujo that I've read. I particularly like all of the political drama, a lot of the motivations from different people. Not everything works out really smoothly, but it's very realistic and very complicated. And I do like that at times it gets very serious and at times kind of dark, and even the action is very intense at times.
So you said Sheena is your favorite character. What is it about Sheena that you like?
Well, I like Sheena's backstory probably the most.
It's so sad.
Yeah. And his ability as well is probably my favorite out of any of the characters. And
he has a cool sword.
He has a cool sword. But I also feel like he's also while being kind of the most intense at times, he's also the most comic relief and the most shy. And so it's
just kind of the gap in his personality at times.
Yeah. So he kind of encompasses a wide range of qualities and funny things and serious things, events in the story.
So who else do you like besides Sheena?
So Sheena's my favorite. I think Hawk would be second.
Me too.
And I actually would say Zeno is probably my third. But until I learned more about Zeno, I probably would have said Yona was my third. I do really like her as a character. But once I learned more about Zeno's backstory, I definitely would say he was a more interesting character.
And then is there a particular section of the story that you've liked the most so far? I don't know, arc or just section of the story?
Probably my 2 favorite sections have been the flashbacks of Sheena and then Zeno. I don't really know the names of the arcs, but I would say the Water Tribe section with Nagai, that's really cool. And then I haven't completed the series yet, but the section I just finished recently was kind of the turmoil with the Northern Nation. And that was really cool too, and very very interesting, but also a lot of people bumping into each other and a lot of things kind of unraveling, which was really interesting.
So we both watched the anime for the first time together and really liked it. And then I read the whole series and I'm caught up to the latest chapter releases. And how much have you read so far?
I think 38 volumes or so, right around.
It's at 38 volumes right now.
And 28 volumes.
28 volumes.
I I have 10 volumes to go to be current, basically.
Okay, because there are 38 volumes out in English right now. I think like 42 in Japanese, so somewhere around 28.
Yeah.
So better catch up soon because I don't want to accidentally spoil you on anything. But do you like all of our Shina fan art?
I do.
Okay. Okay, now our number 2 series. So, Kimi ni Todoke and Fruits Basket. So, Kimi ni Todoke is my second favorite shoujo series. It's a high school romance series, and it's actually my number 1 favorite high school romance series. I just recently did a reread of the whole thing, and I love it. This is my favorite cover because I love them. It's complete at 30 volumes, so I highly recommend this one. It's on the Viz Manga app now, so you can read it digitally. And then a lot of the volumes that were really hard to find because of being out of stock have recently been reprinted, so they're more available and easy to get access to now. But this is my number 2 favorite, and then yours is Fruits Basket. So, what's Fruits Basket about?
Fruits Basket is about a group of people that are basically zodiac spirits or something, and they will transform into the zodiac creature that they are whenever they're emotional. And it's about a girl who stumbles onto the family and kind of learns about the odd things about the zodiac, as well as just the difficulties that the children have, and she kind of befriends different individuals of the family.
Is this your favorite cover?
I picked it because it has Kyo and Yuki on it, which are probably my 2 favorite characters.
So you said what it's about, but what about just like what you like about it?
So I haven't actually read it yet. I watched the anime, and I really, really liked the anime. I liked that it, again, was a shoujo that had a lot of kind of dark elements. There's some very serious things in it. But then at the same time, the anime was really funny at times, and it was really cute and had all these different little animal characters.
A lot of sad backstories too, huh?
A lot of sad backstories, and it also has one of my favorite soundtracks of any anime. But so I really enjoyed it, and the anime covered the whole story. But then you read the manga and bought it, and I didn't want to read it because the art style was a lot different. But when you said it didn't bother you, and you even said that some of the like pacing or some of the different events in the story were kind of portrayed in kind of a different timing than the anime, so I was curious to then read it. But as far as shoujo, is definitely in my top 3.
Yeah, so I just recently read this as part of a buddy read, and I think we're both just not big fans of like the old style of like huge eyes and kind of the triangular face, but it's just such a good story and such lovable characters. Also, some characters that you don't love, but just so well written. So apart from Yuki and Kyo, who are some other characters that you like?
I like Haru and Rin. I do like Toru, and I like both of her friends and her mom. A lot of the characters that are meant to be likable, I do really like, but there's plenty of characters that add to the plot a lot, but they're just not very likable.
Well, I hope you like it when you read it, and then I'm excited to watch the anime again, but I am really excited for you to read it before we watch it again so that you can kind of go into it with a fresh take on it without having everything just clearly in mind still. Okay, and then our number 3 favorite series. So mine is Subakucho Lonely Planet, and here's a Snow White with the red hair. So Subakucho Lonely Planet is a romance series that follows a girl who is in high school, and then a historical novelist that she ends up working for and living with as a live-in housekeeper. This is a mangaka that I really like. I love her art style, and I do like 2 of her other series quite a lot as well. This one does have an age gap romance in it, but I feel like it's done in a really good way, and all of their interactions are really tasteful. And I did read this one before the English print release, so I have read the whole thing, so I am able to say that I like it, not just from the first 3 volumes that have been released, but I've been so happy as each volume has released, just gradually rereading it. But I absolutely love Fumi. I love Akatsuki Sensei, and it's just such a fun story. It really goes into their emotions and how they view things, and there are a lot of sections that are really relatable. So again, I'm just really happy that it got an English print release at the end of last year, and that it seems like it's being received pretty well. It seems like people who have been reading it have been enjoying it, so I hope it will continue to do well. And then your number 3, Snow White with the Red Hair. So tell me about this manga.
So Snow White with the Red Hair is kind of a historical vibe fantasy about medicine and a girl that moves from one town to another place and basically goes into the profession about learning about plants and medicine.
So have you read this manga?
I have not. We watched the anime and I really liked it, but kind of like Yona of the Dawn, I like it because it has something unique and something different. There is some action, but compared with Yona of the Dawn, it's a lot more on the romance side and a lot less dark and serious and action.
So the adventure elements are more about exploration with some romance, as opposed to Yona of the Dawn is more action adventure.
Yeah. And even the interactions with the characters are a lot more lighthearted and playful, and even with the little bit more of a romantic vibe than Yona is a little more on the serious side often.
Is this your favorite cover?
I think so. Also, I think these are my 3 favorite characters, so.
Which one is your favorite so far from what you've watched in the anime?
I think from the anime, I would probably say Obi. He's kind of a fun, like, lighthearted character. He almost reminds me of, like, Rangha from Love of Kill mixed with, like, Luffy from One Piece a little bit. But, so he's
That's
kind of...
an interesting mix.
So he's kind of got a little bit of, like, there's definitely some serious backstory stuff that I don't know about, but then he's very playful at times, but then he can be very serious, and he seems like he's one of the more capable fighters. I do like Zen, but I think Obi is cooler a little bit in my mind.
And what do you think about Shirayuki as the main character? Do you think she carries her weight?
Yeah, she's very cool, actually. I think that the whole story revolves around her wanting to kind of be independent. And so a lot of the events in the story, not like in a bad or annoying way, but are very much her trying to kind of fend for herself or not rely on other people. And a little bit funny that it's called Snow White, because compared to kind of the Disney one where the prince comes and rescues her, it's often not really that way. It happens sometimes, but a lot of times it's more about her trying to kind of do things on her own and maybe measure up to some worth, or from what I've watched in the anime at least.
Yeah, I really like that she's such a strong character, and I'm really glad you liked it too. So when do you think you're going to read this?
Probably after I finish Yona of the Dawn and One Piece. So, a while.
Well, I'm excited for you to get into the manga. I think the anime only covers the first 8 volumes, so there's a lot of exciting stuff after the anime content. So those were our top 3 shoujo series, and now we have each of our next 4 kind of honorable mention series that we like, but also would want to recommend and could potentially make the cut into our top 5, but I don't know. I think we just kind of didn't want to choose our top 5, so we just did 3 and then honorable mentions, but I'll go first and share my 4 honorable mentions. So, not in any particular order, but Snow White with the Red Hair, Dengeki Daisy, Fruits Basket, and A Sign of Affection. So there are a few shoujo series that I do really like a lot that I'm not including because then it would just be like every shoujo series I own that I'm sharing in this video, but I'm trying to share just some of my top favorites. So he just finished talking about Snow White with the Red Hair. This is one that I really like a lot. I am caught up on this series to the latest chapter release, and it was just announced that the mangaka is going to be going on hiatus, and so I hope everything is okay. I don't really know. They didn't give any reason, and they haven't announced a return date, just that it's a indefinite hiatus for now. So again, I just hope everything's okay with the mangaka. I'm actually pretty happy with where the story is leaving off because a big arc has just finished. And then some slice of life things have happened after kind of that arc concluded. But in Snow White with Red Hair, my favorite characters are Obi and Zen. I really, really like them. They both have such different personalities, but then their dynamic together is so good. I also, like I mentioned earlier, really like Shirayuki, and then Ryu is actually my 3rd favorite character after Obi and Zen. And then another one is Dengeki Daisy. This is one I just recently read a few months ago, and I loved it. This one does have an age gap romance, so it follows a high school girl and then a young man in his 20s that have a relationship with each other because of her late brother, who basically tasked him to look after her and protect her for reasons that are brought up in the manga. So even though she is in high school, I wouldn't consider this to be a high school set manga. While there is romance and some drama, there's also a lot of good comedy, as well as some pretty dark, tragic moments and crime elements. So I was really surprised when I read this. It was not what I was expecting at all. I cried so much, but also laughed a lot. So I am waiting on half of the volumes for this series. I have 8 of 16 and really hoping that the out of stock volumes will get reprinted or just come back in stock. And then I'm planning to do another full read through once I get all of those volumes, and kind of curious what I'll think going through it the next time, knowing what all the twists are and knowing things ahead of time. But really liked this story and really like this main character of the series. And then do Fruits Basket next. Of course, this is my favorite cover because Haru is my favorite character. So another one that I recently read, Fruits Basket, and then promptly ordered the entire series. I'm really looking forward to my husband reading this one so that we can discuss it and then also watch the anime and kind of compare what we think about the manga compared to the anime. But this is another one that I love the story so much, and now that I own the volumes, I'm probably going to be rereading this on an annual schedule, just trying to read it once a year so that I can keep on enjoying it. And then the last one on my honorable mentions is A Sign of Affection. So this is a romance series set in university, and I absolutely love the art style, and I love the story. It just is pretty simple, but it's just so enjoyable. Of course, I love the character designs, but just all of the artwork is just so dreamy and just gorgeous. And I love the dynamic between the 2 main characters, as well as the relationships they have with their different friends and the different people that they interact with. But I don't have this one as like a top favorite right now because we only have through volume 6 so far, and I kind of want to see where it goes and like how long it's going to be. It's kind of leading up to more of their romance, and I'm just really curious to see what's going to happen next, or if it's just going to continue to follow them in their relationship. But this is one I've been really enjoying as I've been collecting the volumes and reading it. And I like the fact that it's set in university, so they're a little older. So even though it doesn't have like mature content in it, it has a more mature vibe to it than a lot of high school romance series. And then my husband's 4 honorable mentions.
Daytime Shooting Star, Kimi ni Todoke, Tsubaki-cho Lonely Planet, and High School Debut. So I'll do these 2 first, since you already talked about them, Kimi ni Todoke and Tsubaki-cho Lonely Planet. So Kimi ni Todoke is a high school romance, and I have not read it. It's in my honorable mentions because I did watch the anime. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but I do remember really liking it. I really like the main characters. Actually, I think I like all of the friend group characters. And it had a lot of funny things, but a lot of nice kind of heartfelt moments. So I expect once I actually get to reading it, I'll really like it, and it will likely be in my top 5 shoujo series.
So are they your favorite characters?
Yes. From what I remember.
From what I remember.
I liked them the most. I mean, she's my favorite character just because the really funny moments with her at the beginning and her kind of coming out of her shell and
she's
gaining
a sweet
friends.
girl.
Yeah. But I'm sure that a lot changes after the anime. So probably the other characters I'll come to like more. But from what I remember, these 2 are my favorite.
I'm excited for you to read this one as well.
And then you already talked about Tsubaki-cho Lonely Planet as well. I have not read the 3rd volume yet, but I do really like this one. I do also like this mangaka. So far, I like all of her series that I've read.
And you've read a bit of all 3 of them, right?
Yes. And I do, as you mentioned, really like the main 2 characters. I like the art style and the kind of the personality of the character design. And
do you feel pressured to like this one because I like it?
Oh, a little bit, but I think she's really funny. And then also I like the whole setting of having an author and kind of his historical novel and kind of that type of stuff. And I do like that, even though it is kind of like you said, it's not really set as much in high school, even though it's a high school age gap kind of thing. But I like that it's not really all about the drama of a girl in high school. It's also about other stuff outside of it that's a little more interesting. So far, I've only read 2 volumes of this, and so that's why I would say it's on an honorable mention list, because I just feel like there's a lot more story to go.
So it could drop out of your top 5 if you don't like it, or it continues.
Yeah.
But then it could move up as well.
Yeah, and I kind of want to wait until, part of the reason I haven't read volume 3, I want to wait until 4 or even 5 are out, because I just enjoy a little more being able to read multiple volumes in a sitting or day after day rather than waiting months. And so I did really like it. I read the first 2 when they came out, but I'll be excited to just kind of wait until a little more comes out and then reread probably 1 and 2.
Yeah, hopefully the release schedule will be a little faster.
And then next, Daytime Shooting Star, another Mika Yamamori. And this one is also an age gap romance, but a little more focused on the school setting. I do really like this one. There are elements about it that I didn't care for as much, but this one almost was in my top 3, primarily because I really like all of the characters. Some of the drama in it I wasn't as crazy about, but I picked this cover because I do like all of those 4 a lot. I like all of those main characters.
Which one do you like the most?
I'd probably say Suzume. I do really like her character. She's actually, her character design as well as the way she acts, and very like kind of a headstrong, funny girl that's kind of out of her element, especially at the beginning. And so I do really like her.
She has a really wild personality.
Yeah, I do like her a lot. And I would say both of the guys I like a lot in different ways. And then also Yuyuka. I did really like her, and she's one that I didn't expect to like at all. And by the end of it, she's probably my fourth favorite character in the story, but I did end up really liking her. But it's just a really fun kind of group of, well, I don't know if they're all friends, but it's a very fun group of people. And I would say Mika Yamamura just made really good character design, so they're really identifiable, but then their personalities come through really well. And so I really, really enjoyed all of the characters in the story.
Do you feel like your enjoyment or your liking this one has a little bit of nostalgia since it was one of the first shoujos that you read? Like read through the entire series?
I don't think I had really nostalgia for it. I mean, I read Aoharu Ride straight through. But I feel like this one... A lot
of your favorites are shoujo series that you haven't read. So which ones have you read that are not going to be in your honorable mentions? So you've read Aoharu Ride, My Little Monster,
Sign of Affection.
A Sign of Affection. You have read some of A Condition Called Love, right? And Rainbow Days?
And Rainbow Days. And I've watched the anime of Rainbow Days, and then In the Clear Moonlit Dusk.
In the Clear Moonlit Dusk.
I think this one, it's not really nostalgia. It's also that I really liked the characters, but I also read it all in like a week and a half. Like I read a volume a day or 2 volumes a day. And so I think I just was drawn to the story more because I was kind of...
You were able to just read right into the next one.
Yeah, and I feel like the characters... And
not wait months between the releases.
Yeah, and the characters and the bit of drama in it I felt like was more gripping, even though it was still just, kind of like a high school romance. But
well, good choice. Before you show us your number 4, so these 2 and then In the Clear Moonlit Dusk are all by the same mangaka. Who's your favorite female lead and then your favorite guy character of the 3 of them? Or are you not able to choose?
I feel like I haven't read enough of Tsubaki Cho and In the Clear Moonlit Dusk yet.
So probably
Suzume is for sure, out of the girls, I would say she's my favorite. For the guys, it's tough because I would probably either say Mamura or probably Akatsuki. I do really like the
But just the other day you were saying you also really liked Kohaku from In the Clear Moonlit Dusk.
Yeah, I do really like him, actually.
So 3-way tie for the guys, maybe, and then Suzume for the girl. But then you are fond of Mamura, so he's got an advantage because you've read.
The thing is
you've
that
read more of him.
I know more about him. The other 2, I like them on the surface of 2 volumes, but I just know a lot more about Mamura, so I do really like him. And his character arc is really good. I'm sure the other guys have good character arcs, but I really like his character arc.
Okay. So then your number 4 of your honorable mentions?
High School Debut, which I have read 1 or 2 chapters. I previewed it probably a year ago. And then we decided to buy it. And then we couldn't find volume 1 or omnibus one. And so I've just waited to read it. You just
got hooked by chapter 1 and...
Yeah, it was really funny. And I think this one could end up being in my top 3. Very likely my top 5.
Just from what you've heard about it. Just, like the premise and the...
Yeah, it's very funny. And again, I would say it's something that's just kind of different than a typical high school romance.
So we didn't mention about this one. This is a high school romance with a lot of really good comedy. This is probably my favorite like comedy shoujo series. Super funny.
I hope it kind of reminds me of like Tomo-chan mixed with Nozaki-kun or something, where it's like kind of like the premise, but like reversed a little bit. Like it's a girl trying to figure out about how to be girly and how to attract guys, and just kind of a funny premise. So I am really excited to read this one, and I think if I think it's really funny, it won't dethrone Yona of the Dawn, but I definitely could see it being possibly in my top 3.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since I read this too. So we've actually owned the volumes now for like several months. So I'm gonna have to finish One Piece so that you can read High School Debut. But good choices, good choices. I approve of your top favorite shoujos. So this is our top 3 and honorable mentions, and I hope that this video was fun for you guys to watch. Wanted to do something kind of fun and different for video 100 on YouTube. So really big thank you if you've been supporting my YouTube channel, and I don't know, maybe if you thought this was kind of fun, let me know in the comments. Maybe I can do some more videos where I recommend series by genre, or share my top 3 by demographic, or by, again, genre, like my top 3 supernatural series, my top 3 mystery series. But I was glad that he came on to share his thoughts as well, because it was fun to talk about his favorites with him, and to kind of share with everyone kind of just a man's perspective on shoujo series and which ones he liked and why. So again, hope you enjoyed watching, and let me know in the comments what your favorite shoujo series are. And I'll see you again soon in another video. Thanks for watching.